you have always known who you wanted to be. You may not have gotten there yet, but that's called life. It's called evolving. We come into the world with things implanted in us that we're supposed to manifest and actualize. And it's going to be something that would cause us to be happy, prosperous, successful, all of that. Except sometimes we get stuck. Now, we don't always know why that occurs, because it could be from our families or where we grew up, our environments, our countries. All of those things are factors, but they're still a part of us. And so we have to ask ourselves, do we have something within us that could be actualized, that could make a difference in the world? And I'm saying yes, every single person does. Now, every person will not go and find that, and I've seen that. I've seen that throughout my career when I will work with someone and saying, you have this potential, you have all of this in front of you, and all you have to do is start moving with it. And they said, no, that's too much. That happens because they've spent the time convincing themselves otherwise. You might have done that. We have a way of learning and developing, and we use our minds and our thinking, our perspectives, and that's cognitive behavior. And we will use that to assess our world and ourselves. But a lot of times we've done that in ways that makes us less. That is, makes us feel like everybody else has so much more than we do, and that's never true. And I've seen this over and over again, and I've experienced it, so I absolutely know. And then there are other aspects of this. Everybody's different. Everybody's completely different. So your particular makeup of why you might have not actualized your brilliance at this point is completely unique to you. It could be because of your parents or your country, or you didn't have parents, you were adopted. You have different stories that you've told yourself about why you aren't valuable, you see. But you created that story. You came in with that story because you were supposed to actualize it. You were supposed to move through it. You were supposed to understand it, heal it, evolve, and then give that back to others, give it back to the world. But in that process, you're moving through your stuff, and then what happens is you give it to the world. Let me talk about that in a different way. What's happening in our world now is we're splitting into a different world, which is going to be better. But in that process, we each have to find out who we are. We have to discover what do we want the world to look like? How do we want it to act? And our energies, our collective energies, are what creates the world. So if we're putting in something that we know is going to be helpful, then the conversation out in the world starts to change. What we start to see is that people aren't fighting with one another as much because you're taking care of yourself. There's this part of us that feels typically a little insignificant sometimes. Some of us. And then there's some that come around and say, oh, I'm not insignificant. And those are the ones who decide they're going to make a difference. And I've decided that I've been given that and I'm going to make a difference. I'm saying this because you have to say these things that you feel. They've not manifested yet for you, but you've got to at least say them. I was taken back to remembering that because you don't know, you're given clues along your life about what is here for you to do that's going to be valuable. And I was told, I didn't know this, I wrote 2 songs in 1987 and only really recognized why they're so important now, because the first song was called Better Than Me, which meant that there's no one born better than me. And that's with everyone. How could anyone be better? We don't know what that even means. But we make an assessment ourselves that causes us to be weaker or something. So that was the first one. Then the second song was Listen to Your Heart. We are born with guidance. We have intuitive guidance, and that's in our feelings, and we can feel it in our heart. But we've been talked out of doing things that cause us to feel good, which doesn't make any sense because we were born with those things innately placed in us to come out so they could actualize. Every single person. I've never found any person where that wasn't true. Now, this is where you get screwed up though, because you might think that, oh, well, my life was really terrible. I had these disasters. I had these problems. I had all of this. I couldn't be valuable. That's your value. That is absolutely your value because you're here. You work through that. Now you're supposed to understand what you did, actualize it. You've now evolved because you've got more wisdom, and then you give it back to the world. I'm saying this now because a lot of people are feeling really strained at this moment because of the occurrences in our world, but I'm saying they're for a reason. They're to cause us to evolve. You can find this if you look at history. You can see all these tragedies that have happened in our past have always caused us to become better if we understand what's going on and if we take care of who we are. That's why I keep talking about, the ones who have known this, who have studied this, say, oh, this is time for me to take care of me now. Let me create my business. Let me get on with doing that thing that I said I was going to do, but was too afraid to do. And now this craziness of the world makes me want to move. Yeah, a lot of people have felt that one. And it's a good thing because that's what you were meant to do. You will be fine. You really will. And so this is, again, why I have placed my program out for people to try at this time, at this limited, this lower tuition, because I'm going to take this to a much larger audience and make it quite large, quite big, because that's been what I was supposed to do, obviously. If I wrote these 2 songs, why would I have been given those? Listen to your heart and better than me. Understanding that no one is better than another, and we all have a vital purpose. All right, I hope you come in and check out the program because it is guaranteed to give you everything that you want. All right, I'll see you soon.